Hey, what's up guys? If you haven't yet seen, we did the live launch event of the Antichrist Playbook and it was an absolute hit. We sold out the place and it was so much fun. The book has gone crazy. People love it. It is a great tool for youth, for parents to combat Antichrist in today's world. So the foreword is written by Ward Radio's Cardon Ellis, who we all know is one of the top front fighters against people that are trying to tear down the church. He recorded the foreword for the audiobook and he recorded it in video, and he wasn't planning on this video getting out, but as I was editing the video to then take the audio and put it in the audiobook, I was like, this is such a good foreword. It explains why this book, the Antichrist Playbook, is going to change the Latter-day Saint landscape in regard to defending the faith and recognizing when people don't have our best interests at heart. And so, without him knowing, so it's a little bit out of focus. The focus is on the microphone, and Cardon was a little like, oh, if I knew it was recording, I would have done it differently. But he was like, all right, put it out there. So enjoy this and share it around with people, because really it's a manifesto almost of devotion to living and helping our youth live the gospel of Jesus Christ as restored by Joseph Smith. So after you watch this video and you're like, holy cow, I need this book and I need to share it with everyone, link in the description, you can buy the book and you can get bulk discounts so you can buy them for your kids, grandkids, your priests, your teachers, your young women, whatever it needs be. So enjoy the video.
Foreword by Cardon Ellis. Our society has two problems right now, and the Antichrist Playbook helps solve both of them. The first is a new, more social media-driven breed of anti-Mormons who have learned how to Trojan horse their worldviews into the church by weaponizing the naivete of trusty members and the inclusive nature of church doctrine and culture. The second problem is church niceness culture, perpetuated by well-intentioned members untrained in this new battlefield of ideas that consistently fails to recognize these anti-Mormons or confront them and may even accidentally enable their worldviews. This book addresses these problems by empowering the reader to both recognize these Antichrist worldviews and ethically oppose them without resorting to failed fundamentalist finger-wagging. And Jeff Borders is the perfect author for the job. Jeff Borders is the kind of guy you hope is appointed to be your young men's group leader or youth pastor. He talks how he writes. In the common tongue, he's a pretty chill dude and wildly faithful at the same time. His writing style is approachable, understandable, and enjoyable, with just enough humor to satisfy Moliere's commission to, quote, correct men by amusing them, end quote, in lieu of striking the fear of God into them. Even I found myself stopping to reflect on my personal words and actions after reading several sections of this book, and you will probably do the same. We need this book, and your friends need this book. Your local seminary and institute directors need a copy of this book. Why? Well, back to problem number one. When I was a kid, I can't believe I'm even saying this now, most anti-Mormons were interdenominational. It was coming from overzealous evangelical or Protestant ministers hell-bent on exposing Mormonism's corruptions of Scripture, apparently in the absence of anything else more constructive to do. Like a dragon slayer flaunts his job title, they proudly embrace their anti-Mormonism almost like a badge of honor, even titling books and college courses at their divinity schools as Against Mormons or Witnessing to Mormons. This loud and proud anti-Mormonism was annoying, but served a very useful signaling function. You knew who the enemy was because he was wearing the Mormons Are Going to Hell t-shirt, and the signed copy of the Godmakers was on his shelf. Whether it was of the violent breed in the 19th century that burnt buildings and signed Mormon extermination orders, or just the annoying breed in the 20th century that hired conference protesters to make noise outside of our chapels, the term anti-Mormon went hand in hand with Christian or evangelical or Protestant, and generally implied some other kind of church membership. That all changed in the 21st century. 21st century anti-Mormonism is almost completely atheistic and uses the doctrine of the church against itself, exploiting the social weaknesses of the church culture. Many anti-Mormons even purposefully maintain their membership in the church as long as they can to do as much damage from within as possible. Unlike the overt conference protesters standing outside the chapels, or the mega churches blaring anti-Mormon sermons in their rock concerts masquerading as worship services, the modern anti-Mormon is far more covert, smarter, more efficient, because he makes the church work against itself. If you're an atheistic cultural Marxist who hates the patriarchy, gender norms, traditional marriage, and, well, anything traditional, what is more effective? Putting on your anti-Mormon t-shirt and fedora to go protesting outside the chapel, or putting on your shirt and tie and walking inside the chapel and saying, if you don't accept transgender temple ceilings, then you are hateful, and I don't feel welcome here, and my friends will hurt themselves. If you put on the anti-Mormon t-shirt and fedora, you might accidentally break a sweat while protesting, out yourself as an anti-Mormon to older friends and colleagues, and waste a Sunday morning you could have spent doing something far more productive, like advocating for cultural Marxism online to the younger generation. Whereas, if you skip the protesting, put on a collared shirt and tie, and go to church on Sunday, you can be far more effective. You can take whatever flavor of social progressivism is popular that week, sprinkle in a few nebulous Bible verses, and rebrand your attacks against traditional family, faith, or Christianity as real Christianity itself. You get to be invited on all the anti-Mormon cultural Marxist podcasts and symposiums without worrying about excommunication, because your parents and your bishop most likely don't even have social media accounts, and they're swamped with the quotidian affairs of the church anyway. You're a man who can literally serve two masters. This is a lot better because you never have to break a sweat in the air-conditioned chapel. Your fedora is spared the sweat stains, and you are never outed as an anti-Mormon in front of friends and colleagues. You can instead rebrand yourself as a, quote, progressive Mormon, end quote, and pat yourself on the back and maybe even charge a little bit of money every time someone leaves the church, because you don't just ruin their faith and help them destroy half of their human relationships. No, you help them deconstruct their faith and navigate a faith crisis. You're not an antagonist, but a hero. You're not tearing down the church, but just helping it be more inclusive and modern. And who does not want to be inclusive and modern? That sounds uncool at best and bigoted at worst. That's where problem number 2 comes in. Basically, we are seeing the pride cycle in real time. There's a new golden calf in town. Obviously, there are individual exceptions, but by and large, Mormons are wealthy. God's revelation in the first vision, Joseph Smith's leadership, and Brigham Young's expansion worked. It created an empire of the West, able to endure anything Mother Nature, the U.S. government, and the wild, wild West could throw at it. But wealth has proven our weakness. Where our ancestors had to fight famine and pray for rain, we have canals and bishop storehouses, while our forefathers had to sacrifice family heirlooms to build the temple and travel days to make it to conference. We get to stream it in our pajamas and pause the prophet. I mean, the president of the church, of course, because the microwave just finished warming up our hot pocket. In our wealth, our Sunday school lessons have atrophied into LDS feelings barn. Our religious education has dwindled into chicken noodle soup for the soul, and the signaling function of spirituality has become nothing more than pleasant vocal tones, dress, and suburban niceness. In niceness culture, speaking an abhorrent lie softly with a euphemistic smile is better than speaking an obvious truth boldly. The God of niceness culture is a jealous God and will not be mocked, and they/them only has one commandment: thou shalt not make anyone uncomfortable, not even the devil himself. And third wave anti-Mormons know exactly how to exploit this. This sounds hyperbolic, but it's not. This third wave of anti-Mormonism is effective and ubiquitous. Does this mean we initiate purity tests, start policing social media profiles, and interview every person who has yet to gain a testimony of every verse in Scripture? No way. That would be antithetical to our, dare I say, codified doctrine. What it really means is we all take our religious education a little more seriously and purchase a few copies of this book for our friends and learn to recognize the modes and methods of those who want to destroy faith. And Jeff is our champion. Fighting anti-Mormons, especially this most recent brand, is difficult because you must be able to speak 3 languages at once. You must speak boomer niceness culture Greek in order to communicate with the analog generation still in charge of the official church, who remain largely unaware of the goings-on online, and do so without seeming misanthropic. You must speak millennial and Gen Z digital Hebrew in order to meander through their online synagogues and hear what the common folk are preaching without seeming elitist. And then, of course, you must speak the language of the Spirit to invoke the gift of discernment and choose righteously when and how to engage. Jeff Borders is proficient in all three languages. His book makes for a fast and entertaining read. It invokes enough scripture, often enough, the reader is inspired to reread the Book of Mormon and Bible again in light of this book's new insights. But it's not a master's thesis by some church educational system wannabe. Jeff uses enough slang you can trust him, but not so much that he seems like Steve Buscemi saying, "Hey there, my fellow kids." If this book were a movie, I would say it was, quote, "worth the ticket," end quote, and would buy the Blu-ray. But only for the cover art, because who still has a DVD player anyway? Most importantly, Jeff seems sincere. He speaks from the heart, and it shows. I hope you enjoy his book as much as I did. Cardon Ellis, Ward Radio.